Hello, Louisiana Beer Reviews. We're looking at Doom. Not Hand of Doom, that's a Black Sabbath song from 1970. But this is Doom from Founders. They say on Beer Advocate and Rate Beer it's 10%, but the website clearly states it's 12.4. And it's sold
stamped on the bottle, 12.4.
And it's, can I see, it's sold in June only. 2017 release, bottled on April 25th, 2017. It's raining today. Doom may be impending, blah, blah. Okay, there's a bunch of different talk here. And then it's talking about the intense hop character of Imperial IPA mingled with warm vanilla and oak notes imparted from the time spent in our favorite bourbon barrels, which are...
Doesn't say.
Whose bourbon barrels?
Correct. It could be anyone's bourbon barrels.
Is it Evan Williams? Is it Barton? Is it
Canadian Club?
Canadian Club? Well, that's a Canadian whiskey, so it's bourbon. Is it
Yes.
Old Crow? We don't know. And we looked at a video, a fairly long video on the website, and he told us.
Just kind of bragged about what they were doing with it. Didn't really give us any much info.
They tell you nothing about what kind of malts they use, what kind of hops, or if it adds wheat or any other additives.
Correct.
You know, like rye or anything. So we just don't know. And you
These
said
are
that
things we
irritated.
do know. It says it's an Imperial India Pale Ale aged in bourbon barrels. It doesn't say for how long.
Months, the guy said in the video.
Right.
Months.
No malts, no hops, no IBUs, nothing. The one thing we do know is it's 12.4 alcohol, so it's a big one.
And it, yes, and on Beer Advocate it gets a 91 out of 100. Outstanding. No, that would be excellent, right? Most excellent. Outstanding. Not
Correct.
world class.
And this
Okay.
is the third
91.
beer in a new gold stamp barrel aged series. The first one was, of course, Fruitwood.
Oh, we were very disappointed with Fruitwood.
Correct.
Now my opinion is a 91 out of 100, I'll score that as an A minus. The lower end of excellent. But now Rate Beer is saying 98 out of 100, but a 93 out of 100 for the style barrel aged Imperial.
The second one in the series was one that they already made, and which they make every year, which was the, what was that one? Why everyone chases down? KBS. So KBS found its way into this series, and this is the third one.
Oh, right, because KBS had the new labels.
Correct. And this is the third one. The last one is going to be Backwoods Bastard.
Oh. And Mathern's had KBS on the shelves for weeks where it lingered, and there was no fanfare, so I didn't have to chase it at all. I just went in there and bought one at my leisure.
Right.
Other people were waiting in line.
I found that'd be quite expensive this year too. $5, 12 months.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy with that price. It was wonderful and all, but okay, this was $350 for the bottle plus tax.
Singles are $3.99.
Yeah, that's not so
We don't
cheap.
have a single rub. $3.99.
Now we're putting it in these D'Amore glasses, and I want to thank the person that gave them to me. But I better not say, because I better not say. All right, the head is kind of small, white, off-white maybe. The appearance is what? What's that appearance? What color is that? Copper?
Golden, copper, orangey.
Yeah, more orange with the light shining added.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know. It's like orange copper. Well, copper's like an orange brown color, right? If this was a crayon, it'd be burnt sienna. Is there sediment?
I didn't see any.
A little
It was
bit.
clear to me.
I'm picking up, with this bad light because it's overcast, I'm picking up some powdery sediment and some ascending bubbles. It's like semi-opaque. You can kind of see through it, not really. Well, I've never had it. You've had it.
I have.
Okay, bourbon barrels, that's the thing now, right? Everything's aged in bourbon barrels. That's fine. I'm not a
Really
person
good.
that's opposed to trends and fads. I'm not opposed to it. I've had a good number of bourbon barrel aged beers so far. I haven't been super thrilled with them. Well, I'm picking up the oak and vanilla and the bourbon, you know.
Ooh,
Picking it up.
it's heavy.
Now you tried, when you were inside the house, you tried some of that brandy that was aged in the bourbon barrels. But we know which barrels and we know where.
Right.
You thought it, you thought it enhanced it a little bit.
It did. You could treat that like it was more or less like a bourbon.
And plus that was $13.99 for a whole full bottle.
Cool. It's
$7.50.
got a high. It's got a high burn.
You tasted it?
I did.
Okay, let me taste it.
Almost like Jack Daniels. So it's like whiskey, not so much bourbon. Bourbon's, to me, is more complex.
Well, now on the tour, the Jack Daniels tour guide basically told you that it was bourbon. Jack Daniels is bourbon. And it was funny the way he was giving the tour. He was like, well, this is how you make bourbon. Here's the guidelines for making bourbon. And we do all these things to make this as a bourbon. But since we charcoal filter it, or they call it charcoal mellowing, and they said they do that for legal reasons, because if they say it's aged, they have to pay a tax. You have to pay a tax on aging, but there's no tax for mellowing. I said, that's smart.
What isn't Jack Daniels in Tennessee?
It's a Tennessee whiskey.
Ah. And isn't bourbon from Bourbon County, Kentucky? Is that the way the
Originally,
law was written?
no, but originally, that has not been a law for probably 100 years, at least.
But I mean, that's the original.
Yeah, but bourbon can be
Concept.
made, they used to make a lot of bourbon in Philadelphia. So bourbon can be made all over well, it has to be made in the United States legally. But it can be made in any state. They can make it in Louisiana. So no, it does not have to, that does not have to be made in Bourbon County. And in fact, they don't make any, apparently any bourbon in that county anymore. But but they were saying that since they charcoal filter it, that makes it not a bourbon or charcoal mellow. Well, I just gave you a bottle of, what is that called?
I'm getting almost like a West Coast out of this.
Oh, I gave you a bottle of that Jim Beam. I couldn't think of the name. Jim Beam with the green label,
Here.
the choice, aged 5 years, and
Yeah.
bourbon. It's charcoal filtered,
Right.
but it's still a bourbon. Anyway,
So this still burns. It burns going down.
but getting off the bourbon thing, I agree that Jack Daniels does have kind of a harsh burn.
That's what I'm getting from this, kind of like a Jack Daniels harsh.
The tour guide didn't like me saying the word harsh. He said, "You mean bold?" I said, "Okay, yeah, it's bold."
So getting back to the beer.
It is bold, but I'm not getting a lot of burn. I'm getting that little bourbon twang, you know, that little.
I'm getting kind of an uncomfortable flavor out of this. I don't know if it's just marrying with the burn, with what you get off of a hop in a bad way.
Well,
Sometimes the hops are a little pungent.
it's not tasting like an IPA too much.
No.
It's tasting like just an ale of some sort that's aged in bourbon barrels. I'm getting the wood. I'm getting the vanilla. There is a little hop bitterness though at the end. I gotta admit, it's a little bitter. It's not too resiny. It's certainly not a fruit-forward New England style IPA.
No, it's clear. You can see through it. So it's the West Coast style, as they're calling them now.
It's an oddball thing.
It is. It's
There's
not really
bread.
like an IPA, but then there's
White bread and
it's burny to me. It's just
no, but I was on that bourbon tour all week, so nothing's burning to me after all that burn. But you know,
maybe you should have cleansed your palate first.
yeah, I did some cleansing.
Bet you did.
I cleansed my palate with beer. Okay,
I'm trying to get flavors off of it. I just can't. It's just very alcoholic-y.
I didn't get overwhelmed with bourbon. or
I'm not
I'm
getting-
sorry,
I'm
Tennessee
not
whiskey
getting-
at Jack Daniels, since they gave you like 1/2 an ounce of each flavor.
I'm not
It's
really
like,
getting
wow.
the
Barton gave me.
vanillas.
See how much you get? That's how much Barton gave of their bourbon. They're like, try this bourbon, and then they're try this other one, and try this other one. Now go ahead and drive. Be careful. We're not responsible for what you do. I'm like, I agree with that. This is an odd thing, but I'm gonna wrap it up. Bread, sweet bread crust with an underlying vanilla and oak. A small amount of hop bitterness, but I don't think too many people would think this is what you would call a hoppy product or a bitter product or a resiny product or dank. It's not dank by any stretch of the imagination. I would like to know what kind of
Getting a
malts.
little dank out of it.
I'm not. I'd like to know what kind of malts are used and what kind of hops are used.
But yeah, I'd say it's more of an American strong ale than it is an IPA.
I mean, like into the barley wine area?
No.
No.
It's just when they make a good strong ale.
Like those English old ales.
Right.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit? Jeff Lyons and I did a video on Double Old Thumper from Shipyard Brewing. That's 11%, and it's in a huge 24-ounce bottle. Drink that with extreme caution. We drank a lot of it, and so that video started to break down as we drank on it. But this has some characteristics of that, but not with that oddity. You know, the Shipyard has that really weird yeast that they use, so all their beers taste weird, but good, but weird, but good, but good, but weird, but weird, but good. This one here,
Kind of wish they would have gotten a little more complex with it. It's just
kind of a heavy
it's got
body.
a virgin. It's got a whole lot of bourbon, and it's
Heavy
almost,
body?
It's almost like the bourbon's trying to cover up what the beer's not.
Heavy body.
It's strange.
It's a little heavy. The finish is like halfway between wet and dry, right? It's like
Yeah.
right in the middle. It's not drying, but it's not super wet.
If
It's
you
not
look at the
super
label,
sweet.
the Grim Reaper's in the rear.
Doom, you will die. But in your case, you will be disappointed. Well,
It's just a big old alcoholic-y beer to me.
so you think this is like something for people that are into the booziness
Yeah.
products?
Yeah, if,
Well,
if you like a big, strong beer, I remember when I was a kid, the old timers would say, "Yeah, I'm going to get a Boilermaker." And what a Boilermaker was a shot in a beer bag. This is almost like somebody just poured whiskey in it. To me.
Well, you bought it, I didn't. But that's irrelevant. Let's factor that out. What score would you give it?
I don't even know how to score something that shouldn't even be in this category.
You know, it's either an A, a B, C, or a D, or an F. Gotta call them like you see them.
It's a well-made beer. It's not. It's just strange.
You took issue because they were not giving any disclosure on their ingredients or whose bourbon.
They're just
barrel.
not saying right. No bourbon barrels. We're not talking about the malts. We're not talking about the IBUs. We're not talking. The only thing is that here you go. Here's a beer. We put it in a bourbon barrel. We bourbon barreled it. We may have put it in there for one day, or we may have put it in there for a month, or who knows how long. Whose bourbon barrels? What hops? What malts?
Yeah, and you
How
said
many IBUs?
you
Nothing.
yeah, and you said you didn't like the way the guy said in the video. This is not for everybody.
Right. Meaning that if it's not for everyone, we really don't care, so we're just going to put it out. There you have it. You don't like it? Tough. So, I'd give this a C.
Wow, a C. You're saying it's average, and you're really pissed because you paid.
No, I'm not pissed about the price. I just don't think they
Excuse my language.
I don't think they
I
really.
meant to say irritated.
I just don't know if an IPA needs to be bourbon barreled.
Now go home and get your shine box. Oh, remember you had a little glass like that? All right. Yeah, like it might be really good without the bourbon barrel age, right?
Who knows?
We won't know, but they ought to make a naked version, an unplugged version, right? Doom Unplugged. With no electrification. Just the stripped down version without barrel aged.
Which IPA did they use to make the imperial from? They all have their base beers.
They'll never tell. I'm gonna give it, you're saying it's fair, a C. I'm gonna say it's an A. It's most excellent. With the
Most
caveat,
excellent of what?
just think it's an A beer. It's an awesome beer. But with the
In what category?
barrel aged imperial IPAs. And how many of those have I had in my life? A minimal amount, I'll admit. I've had a lot of IPAs. I've had a lot of strong
I've
beers.
had a lot of IPAs myself. I've had some imperials.
But before I shut the
this is going to be called an imperial IPA. It falls short of an imperial IPA. I've had double IPAs that taste better than this on the IPA base.
You got to call them like you see them, and I'm not
Right.
trying to influence your score at all. You never score something according to what you think people believe you should score.
No, you scored what you believe.
Right. But the caveat I was trying to mention was that I wish they would tell me what are the malts, what are the hops, whose bourbon barrels. I mean, I got a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. But that's not reflective of the beer score. I'm still saying it's an A. It's most excellent. I love it. But I would like to know a little bit about the beer. I mean, you could tell me. It wouldn't kill you to tell me. I don't know. And when you don't tell me, it makes me a little suspicious. Uh-oh, here we go. Like, why can't you tell me? It's like, what were you talking to that ambassador about? Just a bunch of stuff, but what was it about? You don't need to worry about that. Well, I understand that's diplomacy. You can't always disclose. We ain't talking about diplomacy. We're talking about beer. It doesn't need to be secretive, in my opinion. All right, so anyway, a C, you're saying average, and if I pay $3.50 for a bottle of beer and it's average, I'm gonna be angry. I'm saying A. Anyway, whatever. Laissez-les bon temps relais.
And I'm saying I don't know what this beer is.
Laissez-les bon temps relais on my end. And we're gonna end this review by saying y'all come on down to Louisiana.